I was halfway through reconciling the month's compliance ledger when the conference room screen flickered on, and there he was, tight button down, fresh haircut, cocky smirk, like he'd just walked out of a LinkedIn ad. The CFO clicked the mic on and cleared his throat. "Everyone, please welcome Matt Landry, our new efficiency consultant." Then came the usual corporate babble: streamlining initiatives, performance alignment, cost-to-value ratio. Translation: someone's getting cut. And from the way Matt kept glancing at me like he was picking out wallpaper, it was probably going to be me. I didn't flinch. Just minimized the ledger, opened the master license file I'd built and maintained for 8 years, and saved a fresh copy. Uploaded it to my off-site drive under the file name Bowling League Scores. Matt launched into his spiel, tossing around buzzwords like he had a thesaurus for breakfast. Agile infrastructure, legacy overhead, operational synergy. Every time he hit a word like that, his eyes flicked in my direction, like he was daring me to blink. Quick note, before we start, tell us which city or country you're watching from. I leaned back in my chair, arms crossed. Didn't say a single word, just watched him work the room. He was good, too polished, too clean. The kind of guy who thought Slack threads replaced tribal knowledge and onboarding videos made experts. By lunch, I heard him in the break room joking about phasing out boomer workflows. I'm 52. In his world, that's apparently a death sentence. Honestly, he said to one of the younger analysts, half of these systems look like they were built in 2003. We need to clean house. I walked right past them, didn't even look up. Back at my desk, I opened the security registry, logged every active compliance cert, and made sure I still had top-level credentials across all 5 regulatory channels. Then, I ran a silent audit on every access log from the last 6 months. Matt might have thought he was here to clean up, but he didn't know the first thing about the knots holding this place together. So I waited. Not because I was scared, because I knew where every screw was bolted, every trapdoor hidden, and every system that would snap shut the second someone like him tried to pry it open. The first formal move hit the Thursday morning. We were all called into the 6th floor conference room. No chairs, no table, just a standing circle like we were about to vote someone off the damn island. Matt stood front and center, clicker in hand, big grin like he'd just aced a group project he didn't do. "Welcome to our lean reset," he said. "Today we kick off phase 1 of streamlining legacy workflows and optimizing forward value." Someone coughed. Another guy shifted his weight. Nobody smiled. He clicked the first slide. It was a mess, text crammed edge to edge with words like redundancy extraction, operational velocity, and decentralized accountability. I watched a junior analyst squint at the screen like she was trying to solve a riddle. Matt kept talking. "This isn't about cuts. It's about realignment. We're not losing people. We're unlocking potential." Then came the eye contact. Direct, solid, smug. "We appreciate historical value," he said, staring straight at me. "But forward motion requires bold recalibration." Historical. Like I was a dusty typewriter shoved in the back of a thrift store. I didn't blink, didn't move, just held my arms crossed and let him talk. No one asked questions. No one clapped. We all just walked out like inmates headed back to their cells. That night, I stayed. Everyone else cleared out by 6. I turned off the overheads, kept only my desk lamp on, and opened the license control system. Checked every one of the 5 federal dashboards I had access to. DEA, EPA, FDA, USDA, DOT. 43 active credentials, all tied to me, my name, my login, my legal standing. Then I opened my employment contract. Yes, I had a hard copy. And yes, I'd read every word. Section 6, B was buried deep, under termination of duties. I ran my finger across the line. All externally issued credentials acquired under company sponsorship shall terminate within 48 hours of employee separation, meaning they could fire me, but they'd kill the licenses right along with me. I scanned it, highlighted it, saved a PDF under the file name Fishing Trip Supplies, uploaded it to my offsite. By the time I left, it was pitch dark. The motion lights in the hallway kicked on as I walked out. I didn't say a word to the janitor, just clocked out, locked the door, and drove home with the radio off. Next morning, Matt was at the whiteboard in the break room, drawing some idiotic triangle chart about value flow. I poured coffee and kept walking. At 10:30, an all-hands email hit. In preparation for system realignment, selected duties will be redistributed in accordance with Phase 1 directives. In other words, people were about to get ghosted. Renee from procurement leaned over my cubicle. "Did you hear about Pete?" I shook my head. "Gone." Walked out with a box of his desk stuff before lunch. Pete was in logistics. Not flashy, but he knew how to grease vendor approvals. Without him, shipments would crawl. I opened my internal tools access sheet. 5 new flags. 3 of my low-level permissions had been reassigned to junior analysts. And one of my compliance inboxes had a rule rerouting all incoming mail to someone named Kendra I'd never met. They weren't cutting me, not yet. But they were carving off chunks, piece by piece. Matt passed my desk later that day and tapped twice on my cube wall. "Good to see you adapting." I didn't answer. Just clicked into my local drive, pulled the root archive of every regulatory document I'd written in the last decade, and exported it. A week later, I got the calendar invite. Subject line, talent alignment discussion. Translation, re-interview for the job I'd been doing longer than Matt had been out of puberty. Everyone had to go through it, no exceptions. The 20-somethings came out buzzing like they'd just nailed a college internship. "Matt really sees my potential," one kid said near the copier. I wanted to tell him Matt saw him as a warm body with a Slack login and no vacation days. My turn came at 11:45. I didn't bother printing a resume. I walked in with a notepad and sat. Matt didn't even look up. Just typed something on his laptop, then said, 10 years, right?" I nodded once. He spun his screen toward me. An org chart popped up. My name was there, clear as day, with a red X stamped over it. Next to it, open for reassignment. "You've done great work, Dave," he said, finally glancing at me. "But we're building a future-facing organization." I didn't respond. I just stared at the screen. Under the chart, a project folder was open. Q, 3 license transition plan, draft 5.1. One comment stuck out in bold. "Can this be offloaded to junior staff?" He followed my eyes, saw what I saw, and shut the laptop. "That's all I need?" I stood. No handshake, no goodbye. Just walked straight back to my desk, sat down, and pulled up the compliance dashboard I built from the ground up in 2017, back when half the company still printed emails. 43 certifications. Every one of them legally binding. Everyone tied directly to me. The next morning, I came in to find my regulatory prep work had been reassigned, not to a senior lead, not even to someone with credentials, to a girl named Tara, who once asked if FDA stood for Food Design Aesthetics. She was sitting at my desk, hovering over the compliance console like it was a microwave. I didn't say a word. Matt strolled by, clapped a hand on her chair. "This should be a great opportunity for you to learn end-to-end systems. Think of it as compliance boot camp." Tara smiled and said, "I love learning." She wouldn't be smiling in a month when an auditor asked for her name and license number. I turned around, walked back to my desk, and opened a fresh terminal window. Then I pulled up the full user access report and tagged every active credential with an invisible flag. Just a marker, nothing more. But I knew where they were now, and I knew exactly how to pull the plug when the time came. By Wednesday morning, my password failed on the first dashboard. At first I thought maybe I mistyped, tried again, nothing. Then the second one, same thing. By the time I hit the third, I knew exactly what this was. 2 of those systems, I built them myself. No notice, no warning, just locked out like I'd never existed. I shot an email to HR, access denied to internal compliance tools. Please advise nothing. An hour later, I called. The rep sounded like she was reading off a damn cue card. "All access questions must be routed through your department lead." "Matt?" I asked. "Yes, that's correct." I hung up before she could finish whatever canned line came next. Around noon, I passed Matt's glass office on the way to the break room. He was on a Zoom call, leaning back in his chair, laughing. I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but I caught it. "Old wood needs scrubbing," he said. That's how he saw me, not a person, just rot. I turned and walked back to my desk. Logged into the Shadow admin panel I never documented. One of those emergency override tools I wrote when IT got overloaded in 2020. I pulled the access list and revoked every junior credential below level 3. Quiet, surgical, no flags triggered. They'd still see the dashboards, but nothing would load, like looking through a locked glass door. I wasn't leaving the keys behind for someone who couldn't tell a regulation code from a crossword puzzle. By 5 o'clock, the whole floor had this weird buzz to it, like people were waiting for something to drop, but didn't know what. I packed up slowly. Next day I walked in and half my tools were grayed out, on purpose this time. I just opened my drawer, pulled out a flash drive, and slid it into my pocket. The next morning was Matt's momentum meeting. Weekly brainwash session. Everyone stood in a half circle like it was a TED Talk for burnout victims. Coffee in one hand, fake smile in the other. Matt strutted in 5 minutes late, sleeves rolled, smug as hell. "Let's be real," he said, pacing like he rehearsed it in the mirror. "Certain legacy roles no longer align with our forward strategy." And just like that, he stopped walking. Right behind me. "Effective immediately," he said. "Dave Harlan's position is eliminated." No heads up, no warning, just a clean execution in front of the whole department. Gasps, silence. Someone dropped their pen. I looked straight ahead while 2 HR reps walked toward me, holding a glossy folder like they were offering a hotel upgrade. "Dave, if we can have a quick word." I opened the folder. Termination papers, no severance, no explanation. Matt clapped once. "Let's keep the momentum going, folks." I signed. Quiet, slow, calm. Then I looked up and said, "I'll need a printed copy." "It's all digital," Matt said without turning around. I said, "Print it." He paused, looked at one of the HR reps. 4 minutes later, I walked out holding that paper like it was a signed death warrant. Didn't take the elevator, took the stairs. One last time. I didn't cry in the parking lot. I didn't scream. I just sat in my car with the AC off and stared out the windshield until my fingers stopped shaking. By 7:13 p.m., my phone buzzed. One notification, then another, and another. License deactivation, certification ID, 34,800. Void license, deactivation, compliance token, null vendor, anchor ID. Removed every regulatory body, every vendor contract, every compliance tool. Gone. They pulled the plug, and the system didn't just flicker, it flatlined. I set the phone down, walked into the kitchen, grabbed a cold beer, and waited. By Tuesday morning, the cracks turned into sinkholes. Procurement couldn't place a single order. First email bounced, "Cannot ship." Receiving entity inactive. Certification expired. Then a second, then 10. I was on my couch in sweatpants, eating cold pizza straight from the box, phone in one hand, laptop in the other, watching the collapse happen in real time through an anonymous CC thread someone had secretly added me to. One email had a screenshot of the license dashboard. Red, red, red. Every cert flagged, expired, null, invalid. Renee from compliance sent a one-liner that said it all. "We don't have clearance to restore any of this." Matt replied a minute later, "Just update the contact info and relink the accounts. It's a simple fix." Someone else followed up. "She was the only registered certifier on file. There is no one to relink." Pause. Silence. Then chaos. Matt's next reply came 8 minutes later. I could tell he'd been scrambling. "How do we request emergency override access?" I scrolled, found the next gem. Screenshot of Matt's Slack message to IT. "Anyone know how to override Dave's dashboard thingy?" Thingy. That thingy was the compliance control center I built with 3 security layers and a brute force alert system that flagged unauthorized resets. 3 attempts were logged that day. All failed. The third one triggered a report that got sent to a federal audit queue. They wouldn't realize it for a few days, but the timer was ticking. At the office, Matt apparently tried to reset my login himself. Renee wrote, "Tried to restore Dave's credentials. Got back, user not found." Of course it said that. I'd deleted the official profile the second I walked out. But my shadow terminal was still alive. Someone else asked, "Can we ask her to come back temporarily?" HR's reply, "She was formally terminated. We have no authority to contact one vendor." Flat out replied, "Contract null due to lack of licensed signatory. Partnership suspended until valid certification reinstated." Meanwhile, I licked pizza grease off my thumb and watched the panic build line by line. Matt's next bright idea? Call the cert agencies and ask them to expedite new credentials. That bought them nothing. Credentials tied to company sponsorship don't just expedite. They go through background checks, financial audits, and weeks of paperwork. No one in that building had the authority to sign a compliance document. And even if they did, no one had the keys. I leaned back, took a sip of flat soda, and opened the terminal window I'd kept live in the background, just monitoring. Watching the brute force counter tick. Watching the internal alerts ping one by one, like popcorn kernels bursting under a closed lid. Pop, pop, pop. I turned the volume up just enough to hear the soft ding every time someone failed to enter the right override string, and I waited for what I knew was coming next. Thursday morning, 10 a.m., sharp, FDA site audit, randomized, unscheduled, mandatory. 3 inspectors at the front desk, badges out, clipboards in hand. Reception called compliance. Then silence. Renee answered first. Can I ask who you're looking for? One inspector spoke clearly. We're here for a license holder review. Credentials, system access logs, cert history. She put them on hold, bolted down the hallway. Matt didn't even get time to rehearse. He came flying out of his office like a man trying to unboil water, tie crooked, sweat starting. Where are the credentials? Someone from legal asked. Try the backup logins, Matt shouted. I did. They're locked. Try the override panel. Blank screen. The FDA inspectors waited exactly 3 minutes before walking themselves back. No smiling, no talking. They were used to seeing chaos, not like this. Matt stormed into the main hub, started typing like speed could replace competence. Nothing worked. Reception called upstairs. HR came down. Legal followed. Then, like they'd summoned a ghost, Gregory Winslow, the CEO himself, showed up with his executive assistant, and a face like someone told him the building was on fire. What's going on? He asked. Matt looked like he'd swallowed a stapler. We're experiencing a short-term access issue. Temporary one of the inspectors said, Sir, your certifying officer has been removed from the registry. Gregory turned. Can we reinstate them? HR shrugged. We reached out. No response, Gregory asked. Who did the removal? System auto-flagged the deletion, Renee said. We can't trace the trigger. Matt tried to chime in, but nobody was listening anymore. I was home, on my second coffee, watching the local news with the sound off. My phone buzzed, blocked number. I let it go. Then a text came in from someone I used to eat lunch with. Did you do this? I stared at it for a second, then typed back, No. You did, and hit send. Then I powered my phone off. Monday, 8:37 a.m. Gregory Winslow walked in like he was heading to a product launch. Fresh tan, expensive suit, teeth glowing like he'd just come back from golfing with shareholders. He had no clue what crater he'd just stepped into. By 9:02, he was staring at the main compliance dashboard, projected on the wall of the war room. Red flags across the board. Dead licenses, frozen accounts, halted shipments. Who's handling this? He asked. Silence. Then, one by one, heads turned. All fingers pointed to Matt. Matt cleared his throat. There's been a gap in credential continuity. We're working on reinstating temporary coverage. Gregory cut him off. Where's the license holder? Matt hesitated. We, restructured that role. Gregory's jaw clenched. Let me see the paperwork. HR slid the folder across the table. He opened it, scanned the top line, and saw my name, crossed out in red ink. You fired the license holder, he said flatly. Matt swallowed. The position had become redundant. Redundant? Gregory looked up slowly like someone had just insulted his bloodline. That license was tied to 5 federal agencies. You think that's redundant? Nobody spoke. Renee shifted in her seat. One of the junior analysts looked like he wanted to crawl inside a trash can. Gregory stood up, walked to the screen, tapped a red box with his finger. What does this mean? Matt glanced at it. That's the FDA cert. It lapsed after... Gregory didn't let him finish, just muttered under his breath. Jesus Christ. By noon, I got the email. Subject: Independent consulting opportunity. Urgent full bonus structure. 6-month contract. Discretion clause. Gag order. And one hell of a number. I opened the PDF, scrolled past the legal boilerplate. All those fake pleasantries. My eyes landed on the terms: full administrative reinstatement. No public disclosure permitted. All deliverables remain proprietary. Attached was a message from someone in legal I'd never met. We believe your institutional knowledge is vital to our recovery. I didn't even blink. I replied with one line: I don't return to burn sites. Then I attached 3 screenshots. Matt's Slack message calling me old wood. His comment asking if my work could be offloaded to junior staff. The dashboard showing 43 licenses voided in a single night, and I hit send. No reply, no follow-up, just silence. I closed my laptop, got up from the kitchen table, and poured myself another coffee. Black, no cream. 3 weeks later, my LinkedIn lit up. New position, Director of Compliance, Stratcore Systems. No hashtags, no selfie, just one line. Glad to join a team that understands integrity isn't optional. 5 minutes later, the quiet bombshell dropped. Stratcore announced 2 new partnerships, Omega Farm and Viarc. Those were the crown jewels of my old company, locked in 5-year contracts, or so they thought. Turns out, when you kill the certs, the clauses dissolve. That same morning, I got a screenshot from a friend still stuck over there. Internal email. Due to ongoing vendor issues, this year's holiday party is canceled. Please be mindful of spending during Q4. Another one. FDA notice of violation received. Review pending. Then the real kicker. Matt laid off. No cake, no speech. Just a badge deactivated and a security escort. He posted on LinkedIn too. Something about exploring new challenges and embracing change. Nobody liked it. Meanwhile, I had my own office. Real office. Door that closed. A working espresso machine. A chair that didn't squeak every time I leaned back. And above my monitor, 1 yellow sticky note. 5 words. All caps. Black Sharpie. I was the license. Every time a ping came in, showing another contract they'd lost. Ping. Omega Farm. Ping. Viarc. Ping. Smaller shops following the bigger ones out the door. I didn't dance. I didn't brag. I just sipped my coffee. Colombian black. Hot. No sugar. With a long, slow pinch of satisfaction.